Hey everyone, welcome to today's session where we'll be covering what is Google AppSheet. Let's take a quick look at our agenda for today. First, you're going to meet me, then we're going to walk through an intro to Google AppSheet, and finally we'll jump into a live demo. I'm Chris Botello. I lead our solution architecture practice for Google Workspace here at SADA, and I'll be leading us through the session today. So you may be asking, what is Google AppSheet? Well, it's an intelligent no-code platform that allows you to create apps for your workplace. Some of the benefits of AppSheet include real-time collaboration, the ability to gain great insights through dashboards and notification workflows, and the ability to streamline data collection from the field. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the demo. To access AppSheet, I've actually just gone to appsheet.com and chosen to log in with my Google account. And now I'm at the My Apps section here. So we'll see how to create a new app here under the Make a New App option, or we can also take a look at apps that we've already created as well. Now, I already have an app that I've developed that I'm going to demo with us here, and then in a moment we'll actually go through the process of building an app together. So I've been learning to play golf over the last couple years and built an application that can help me keep track of the courses that I played at, my score for each of those, and then a calendar events of when I played each course. So we've jumped into kind of the app developer screen for AppSheet here, and we see several different sections as part of that. Along the left-hand side here, we see all of our different configuration options for our application. Clicking into each of those will give us a little bit more detail on each. Along the right-hand side here, we're always going to see a preview of our application as we make changes and modifications to it. And we can also see what this looks like on a phone, a tablet, or even pop out and view this as if we were on a desktop computer. So let's take a look at how this app functions today, and we'll dig deeper into the functionality of each. Jumping into the application here, we see several different options along the bottom. Now, currently, I'm sitting on the Courses tab. It'll show me where all of the courses that I've played are. So we can go ahead and zoom in here. So I'm based out of Dallas, and we'll see kind of all the courses that are near to me and my little blue dot for my current location. Now, if I click on any of these courses, I kind of get a pop-up component that shows me additional information. So the address, phone number, the website, and then also my scorecards related to that particular course. If I'm accessing this, from a mobile phone, I can quickly click the call or message buttons in order to interact and call here. I can jump straight to the website. Now I can also jump into a scorecard. So kind of jumping into our scorecard view here, we see I had a pretty good round, shot a 73. I'm not sure that that's a real score or not. Now we can also take a look at the calendar view and see when these rounds were played. So it's been a bit since I've been able to get out. It's been a little cold here in Texas over the last few weeks. And then we can also jump to the dashboard. Now we're doing some pretty cool stuff here as well. We're breaking down by the particular course, listing by date when it was played, and then showing the average score for that particular course, as well as the score for each scorecard. So now that we've seen kind of what the app does, let's jump back in to the admin side of things and see how we set this up to work. So one of the most important components of AppSheet is the data tab. So this is where we kind of choose our data sources and set it up for our application. So I have two sheets in this scenario that make up the backend data for this application. I've got a scorecard and I've got my courses sheet. So we can actually jump over here to Google Drive and see kind of what that looks like on the back end. Of course, just have, kind of each of those pieces of data that we talked about, and then a listing. And then for scorecard, we'll see that we've got those listed as well. So now that we've taken a look at what an app can look like in AppSheet, let's go ahead and run through the process of building an app from scratch. So in this scenario, I have this spreadsheet that I already have loaded in Google Drive. It's a device inventory, so a bunch of different devices that we have here at SADA, mixed of personally and user-owned, Macs, PCs, all of that. The spreadsheet's, a little bit difficult to work with, not a great capability to check things in and out, maybe report on items that I haven't seen in a while. So let's go ahead and build an app around this. So jumping back into AppSheet, I'm going to go ahead and say make a new app. Now we see a couple of different options here. You can start with your own data. You can start with an idea, so kind of type in some things that you're looking to do, and then have AppSheet generate an application for you. Or we can start with the sample app. I recommend you check out the sample apps. They're a really great starting point for a lot of different use cases. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and start with our own data. So let's call this device inventory. We'll choose a category for this. Let's go ahead and call this logistics. And then we'll choose our data. So we'll see it's automatically opened up Google Drive for me. I know I've got that device inventory spreadsheet that we took a look at a moment ago that I want to use. I'll go ahead and select that. And we'll give this just a few moments to set up an application for us. All right, so now we see, based off that spreadsheet, AppSheet has kind of intelligently, created an application for us. Let's take a look at what it's done, and then we'll probably need to modify some things to kind of fit, our purposes. So we see it's kind of grouped things between, approved and unapproved. We've got some data here, not really sure what this date means. If we click on this, we can get a little bit more info. Okay, so kind of that should look familiar to us now. Those were all of the columns that we had in our device inventory spreadsheet. But let's go ahead and make some modifications to this so that it really becomes, a more useful tool set for checking devices in and out of inventory. So we're on our data tab here, and let's go ahead and kind of view all of our columns. All right, so it's made some decisions for us about, what column is what type of data. Let's see, we've got, okay, model, that should be text. Let's jump in here and see what that looks like if I edit this. So for model today, it's just a free text entry field. I probably want that to be something that I pick, like Mac or PC or Mac and Windows. So let's go ahead and change this field from text to a list here. And let's modify what those options are. All right, we can choose how we want this to be set up as well. So for our values, let's do Mac and PC. Now we can choose to allow other values, so we could select that and then maybe write in something like Chromebook, or you know what, let's go ahead and add that as a third option. And then we can choose what our input selection looks like. So we can choose auto and let AppSheet decide. We could choose buttons. Let's go ahead and choose the buttons option here. We'll click done. Let's save this. And now let's jump back into an entry and see what our UI changed to. All right, so we've got our radio buttons here to click instead. All right. Let's save on that. And let's go ahead and refresh. All right, now we have these sorted kind of in a weird way now to, approved or unapproved. Maybe, a better way to sort this would be kind of the user that it's assigned to. So let's jump into the UX settings here. We've got our devices. Let's actually go ahead and change the name of this as well. We see it's called devices down there at the bottom center right now. Let's call this device inventory. We'll see that that's updated. And now we can also change kind of our different view types. So right now this is a deck. If we preferred something like a table view, a form, or a chart, we could change that configuration here as well. We'll go ahead and leave this as a deck, but let's change kind of our sort order around it. So let's say we want to sort by the name here. Actually, we'll choose email instead. All right, so now we will have these all listed and sorted by email, but we actually kind of can't even see that particular information on here. So this is where we can change our header information. So let's go ahead and change this to name. All right, so now we've got that by person's name. And then for the second header here, let's go ahead and choose the model information for that. All right, so now we've quickly kind of changed the look and feel of the application there. Now we can do some other fun stuff with AppSheet as well. We have a pretty kind of bland, generic app right now, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the branding options we have here. So we have the ability to set our theme. Is this a light theme or a dark theme? We can control our kind of primary colors. Say we wanted to, make this red. We can update our application logo as well. So customize this. And you may have saw that right when we launched the application earlier, but we kind of have that initial launch image. We can configure that as well. All right, so now that we've seen kind of how quick and easy we can get an AppSheet app up and running, let's go ahead and look at some of the other ways that we can manage this application and then share it with others to use. So from the manage option here, we see some pretty cool things that we can set up. One in particular is versions, so we can kind of roll back and forth between version histories of this application if need be. We can do some A/B testing, so release earlier versions of the app to a specific set of users while keeping others on a stable version, which is pretty cool. And then we can also get some statistics around, how often is the application being used. Look at things like the audit history as well. Now to share an app, we can go here just to the share app option, and we can do a couple different things. We can add our entire domain if this is something that we intend to share broadly, or we can actually send this to particular other users to be able to log into. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with a colleague, and we'll say I'm not a robot. All right, and let's go ahead and invite her. So now Kelly will receive an email that lets her log into this application and be able to make entries and use it as well. All right, so jumping over to our security settings, we actually see that we can use several different authentication providers as part of this application. We're using Google here. What's awesome about that is for other users within your organization who already have a Google account, they can just click to log in without having to enter another username and password. Just another great way that we're seeing Google integrate the product suite with Workspace to make access a breeze. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to another app that just demonstrates, a little bit more of the functionality and integration with Google Workspace. We worked with a healthcare customer to develop an application that automatically reminds nurses when some of their certifications or certificates are expiring, sends them an email that action needs to be taken. So I'm in the behavior tab here and then under reports, and I essentially have, a table on the back end that tells me these particular items are expiring within the next 90 days. And let's go ahead and take a look at what creating a rule that sends an email out would look like. So if I've got any content that's expiring within the next 90 days, I can go ahead and configure a workflow task that sends an email notification. So in this case, I'm automatically sending it to the email address on file that we have for the individual whose certificate is expiring. And then I'm automatically filling in, the email subject and email body information using attributes that I have for them within AppSheet. So I've got, all right, hello, in this case, it would be hello, Chris. You have a certification expiring in the next 90 days. Please plan on updating your information accordingly. All right, and I can do some interesting things with this. I can CC or BCC others, and then I can just have this run automatically, continually looking for anyone who meets that set of criteria, and then emailing them a notification that they have activities to complete. Now I can also do some cool things like, creating an on-demand PDF. So if I had this maybe in a learning management type application, I could auto-generate a PDF of course completion certificate and email it directly to the user as well. Just another cool way that AppSheet is integrating with Workspace.